Hello and welcome to another episode of the CLEO Edge Podcast. My name is JC Polanco. I'm the president and CEO of the Council on Legal Education Opportunity. We're very excited to bring you this episode. This is still our celebration of our Emerald anniversary. We're celebrating 55 years of diversifying the legal profession. We're very excited today because we have an honored guest. We have the Dean of DePaul College of Law with us today, Dean Jennifer Rosato Perea. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here. So great to talk with you.
We're so excited to have you now. You're so accomplished, and you're Dean Jennifer Rosato Perea, but you're warmly known as Dean Jenn across the country. You allow for us to call you Dean Jenn?
Absolutely. Please do.
Thank you, Dean Jenn, for joining us. I know you're out there in Chicago, and it's a lot earlier than it is for me here in the East Coast. So we really appreciate your time. Now, Dean, this year we're celebrating our 55th year, and you've been instrumental for CLEO and bringing awareness to the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, and really changing the landscape of the legal profession. So we want to send our thanks to you and your faculty and everything you've done for CLEO and diversifying the legal profession. Thank you, Dean.
Oh, you're welcome. And CLEO and all that it does, whatever the headwinds, whether it's COVID or whatever it might be, it's so important, these pipeline programs. There are more of them, and we need more of them because we really need to build that pipeline into the legal profession, as we both know.
I know. And I know that, people speak about diversity, equity, inclusion, and the importance of it. And at times, Dean, it seems as if it's just words, but it's not words for you. You live by this. You're one of the longest serving Latina deans in the United States. And one of the things I know that our students and folks that support CLEO watching the Edge podcast today is they're probably asking themselves, what drove Dean Jenn to get involved in the law? What was it that drove you, Dean?
Yeah, I was not one of those kids that knew kind of when she was in grade school or junior high that I wanted to be a lawyer. Although when I look back on it, there were things that I did, like I loved to do speech contests and things like that I thought, in retrospect were really helpful to me becoming a lawyer. But I became interested in law in college. Actually, my senior year in college, I was ready to become a social worker and ready to become a social worker working in child protective service and children and families. And I was in an internship, which is why internships are so important, practicums, because you get to be in the context and really learn what it's like. And I realized first that I probably didn't want to be a caseworker my whole life. And second, and most importantly, I learned that the impact on the families that I was talking to, the mothers, the children, the foster families, was that the law was the shaper of reunification of the future of these families and the future of these children. And so at that point I said, I really want to go to law school. This is where I can really make a difference. And I saw myself in the profession for the long haul. So that's how I got interested in it. And then I went to law school a year later. I took a little time to work and do ESL and actually become an educator. And so that helped to marry ultimately my love of law and my love of education.
That's such a wonderful story, but you're so humble about it, Dean Jenn. We know from your background that you spent time in Cornell. You did your undergrad in Cornell, and you went on to UPenn. How must have that been like? You mentioned it that your senior year you were inspired to go to law school, but it must have been tough being a Latina with this drive at Cornell University and then UPenn. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It's interesting because I've read a little bit more about it now, especially as we're talking more about affirmative action and learning more about my own history. So the program that I belonged to at Cornell and why I was admitted in was called COSEP. And it was a program that was part of that first generation of opening up Ivy League schools to Black and brown kids like me, students like me, who were hard workers, who had done pretty good in high school, but needed a chance, right? And needed scholarship, right? And so I was there with great intentionality to be one of the first, so to speak. And so it was, it was hard in the sense that it was isolating. There were, it was a world I had never entered into. A lot of kids from private schools, all of their, it seemed like all of their parents were professionals, and I kind of didn't know what to do. I mean, I made it through, but there was a lot of kind of just stumbling, right? And that's why CLEO and other programs are so important, because you miss opportunities and you just feel a lot more alone. And at Penn, I felt a little bit more comfortable because I'd already been kind of in that world. But I also realized going to Penn, it was kind of in the next level, right? I mean, Cornell also was a state school as well as it was an Ivy League school. And so you had more of a mix of students at Cornell. Once you got to Penn Law, it was, wow, these are the kids that come from the best of the best. They read the New York Times every morning. They don't, I had a very limited vocabulary. There were just some things they were savvy about, even eating in restaurants, or how to get mentored in the opportunities you needed in law school. So I kind of had to learn that kind of the long way. And I was just very fortunate. I had some wonderful professors who really kind of took me under their wing and helped to guide me and made sure that I had opportunities and I had a good experience in law school, which I really did. Even as kind of one of the few in my class who were of Latinx background, I really felt very comfortable at Penn. It was generally a very welcoming environment. And so when I think about education, I think about, it's not about whether you're particularly open to particular populations. It's about being open, inclusive to all, because then all students can thrive in that environment. And so that's what I try to think about as I lead in education as well.
Dean, I was reading about an essay you had written, and you were describing how you were feeling that you brought diversity to the classroom, and that what you brought to the classroom was important for everyone around you. Could you tell us about why that is? Why is diversity important, and why is diversity in the classroom and in the student body? Why does that matter?
It matters for so many reasons. And there are different ways that you can bring diversity to the classroom as a teacher, as an educator. One is just being from your own experiences, right? You are who you are. And so when there are students in the classroom also who have never seen anyone like you, I still, even though it's 30 years later, students say, I've never had someone like you from your background teaching me. And it inspires me because it feels like I can do it too, right? So there's that role modeling that takes place, and to see somebody who, in kind of a counter stereotypical role. So that's part of it. The other part of it is how you teach. I think I have a certain level of empathy because I have come from the background that I've come from. I've been exposed to many diverse experiences. And then I think helps me in the classroom to be able to bring folks in. And I also, just from my own experience as an educator, I like to be very open to different ways of presenting materials and bringing everybody in the conversation. And I think that's really important, and to be open to diverse perspectives. I think not to be afraid to have hard conversations and to be able to listen to everybody's voices. So I think it's really important that the educators are diverse and the students feel like it's an environment where their experiences and their voice is valued and affirmed.
And you know what I love about the essay that you had written, and I had read about how you talked about issues that people should be mindful of, microaggressions, and all of these things that some folks may not even think that's important, but for all the reasons you mentioned, Dean, it matters. And I started off my time here with you examining how diversity can be words for some folks, but you actually live it. And at DePaul College of Law, you're doing something there that matters a great deal to me. My parents are from the Caribbean. I'm a first generation American. And like you and so many, I just didn't have attorneys around me. And I always wanted to be one. And I know that you have a very special program at DePaul for first generation scholars in the law. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I'm sure so many of our viewers are interested in it.
Yeah, I'd love to, and again, I just say to all of the, especially the potential law students out there, to take advantage of whatever pipeline programs are available to you, in your region, in your neighborhood, in your community. We had been working in pipeline programs for a while, and as you and I know, it's been a very long and slow haul to increase both the numbers and the inclusion and the experiences for lawyers, and so we have to work the pipeline earlier and better. And so what we started to think about is, what do first gen students need? What did I need? What do I wish I'd had? When we look at students, what do we wish they'd have? And then so we kind of then we backward designed it and really made a comprehensive program that includes all the preparation that you need for LSAT prep, for learning about skills, how do you class, how do you do a Socratic dialogue, things like that. But we also try to think about, what do students get when they have parents who are lawyers or professionals, right? They get the kitchen table conversations, right, about being a professional, what it's like, what are the fields like, and you get this organic shadowing, right, when you're a child of a professional or child of a lawyer, right? So we try to emulate that. So we have a lot of shadowing, we have a lot of mentoring, we have a lot of panels to bring those experiences to our students almost in a crash course. And then as they go through 3 years. First 1 week, their first year, as they enter freshman year, then enter sophomore year, they get a little bit more comprehensive shadowing, dig deep, skill development, LSAT prep. And then the third is they get what a lot of professional kids get, which is an internship, right? Mom or dad helps them set them up with their, with their friends and get a nice and a good internship experience that then they can have on their resume as they apply to law school. And so that's how we enrich and have this comprehensive experience. So we're very excited about it and hope that it will continue to grow.
Well, we hope so too, because that matters. And it matters to a lot of first generation. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to, if you really think about it today. I'm fortunate. I was born here and I had, my first language is Spanish, but I had loving parents that really motivated me and did everything they could to advance me. But I became the young lawyer at the house at 5, translating things. Yes. and and translating bills and leases and you name it. And I know that a lot of first generation attorneys had that experience where they were often
we're all nodding our heads, right, as we're listening to the podcast. Yes, that was me.
And I can see how they would take advantage of this, because we had done some of that on our own with the crash course growing up. And now you have this pipeline. It's great. And DePaul is at the forefront of this. And I know that it matters to you. And I'm so happy that you're working on it. Now, I'm so interested about DePaul because I know it's a Catholic law school, but you're very diverse, a diverse law school. And I had gone to law school at night at Fordham. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Can you tell us about your night program at DePaul, your part-time program at DePaul?
Yeah, the part-time programs are very much at DePaul and other places, but particularly at DePaul, about access, right? And so DePaul University and DePaul's mission has been access to education since its founding, really. And so the part-time program is a terrific option for students who have to work, who need flexibility, maybe because of family obligations. And so that group is very interesting and very diverse, right? And they're also very busy. So time management is key. So they come in now about 3 nights a week. They have some of their classes actually online to provide some flexibility. And it just provides a great option for those students. I think what's changed since the beginning of the part-time program, it used to be that employers help to pay for that education to enhance the opportunities for their own workers. Unfortunately, a lot of organizations don't do that anymore, but it still has that same important, and I'm sure you took advantage of that, to have that flexibility to be able to finish it at night and to be able to then go on and have a degree and really bring your career experience that you have in our students, whether it's marketing, finance, nursing, whatever it might be, and then they combine it with their legal education, and it's a dynamite combination. They're very marketable when they go out there in the market.
Dean, Jenn, I'm incredibly biased to the part-time students. I think we're the best of the best. That's just my opinion, Dean.
Absolutely. And you can bring your wealth of experience to the classroom, right? And that really helps a lot. And even among days, what we call the day students, the full-time students, we found that over the years now, many students don't go straight from law school from undergrad to law school. They take a few years, and their work, they've had some work experience, and they know they want to be in law school. But those evening students are special. I had, when I was at Brooklyn Law School, I had, I think, sometimes close to 100 students in the night program, and they were really an amazing group.
Dean, you've mentioned a couple of times that there are students that finish undergrad and they take some time off before going to law school. I just had this big fight with my daughter about the idea. She's a junior in college. I really want her to do law school. She wants to do law school. And she says, Papi, I need some time for myself. I said, no, you don't need some time for yourself. You're going to go straight through. I hope she doesn't see this episode.
Well, what I would say, though, is what I would say, and the advice I'd give to your daughter or others is to take advantage of it. I don't think honestly it should be, I know they call it gap years or whatever. I think many of our students now don't have the life experiences I think that we had in our generation. I started working when I was 16. I worked through college. I had different kinds of experiences by the time I got to law school. Many of students now don't, because they're very focused on their studies. They're trying to get to college, all of that. And so taking a couple of years where, first of all, they can maybe save some money so they can be more financially able to afford law school, and they have some of that experience, especially in a professional environment. It makes them more mature, but it also helps them also put law school in perspective, right? Because then they I was in the real world. I worked, whatever. This is not so bad, and can put some of that law school anxiety in perspective. So that's what I would say. I think either way works.
Yes.
And there is a sense of you don't want to lose the momentum of having been in school, but there can be plus sides to taking some time to do something constructive.
Well, I'm going to try to keep this episode away from her, but except for that part. Now, Dean, if you were to describe the DePaul Law School student, how would you describe that student? Where, who is this person, and what do they end up doing afterwards? When they finish and get that degree from you on that stage, where do they end up going most of the time?
Well, first of all, I think DePaul students and DePaul alumni are really known for not only their excellence in the law school education that they've received, but also their work ethic, their grit, and kind of a get it done attitude. That's kind of what we do, and that's what our students do. And so they go out in all different fields of practice, which is great, right? And I think like Fordham, it's just, you've got some that go to big law, but not the majority. You've got many that go to small and medium-sized firms, from fields from workman's comp to PI. They go to the government, they go to the state's attorney's office, they go to the public defenders, and then more and more of them are actually going into the corporate sector now. I think what's growing now. We used to be, I think, much more kind of advocacy, litigation oriented, and we still are. We're still a great training ground for that. But we also have many more of our students and more training in the transactional side, because a lot of our students, either from the graduation or 10 years out, they're moving into the business sector and using their legal skills as well as their savvy to be part of a corporate organization or a corporate department in a firm.
And are the alumni active at the law school? Do they come back and want to help?
Yeah. That's also what I love about them, because many of them are those first gen students who say to me, DePaul took a chance on me. DePaul gave me opportunities that allowed me to have this wonderful career and support my family and do this great work. And so we have many alumni that come back. They do things like we have a prepare to practice program in our 1L year that's for all of our students that helps them networking, getting information about how to do a great resume cover letter, professional identity. And our alums come back to do mock interviews for all the first years and do that. And they do, they do career panels, they do career fairs, they do mentoring programs with us. So they're very active. And then I have a bunch of boards that also help me with thought leadership as well. So they're a super active group. We have we've got 16,000 alums, and most of them are in the Chicago area. So it's great to have those resources available for them to come to campus and to give our students jobs, which is the most amazing thing.
That's a beautiful thing. And I know that as Dean, that's something that's very important to you, making sure that there's that school spirit that continues through a young attorney's career and comes back. That's a wonderful thing, Dean. You did a great job at it. It's at this point, Dean, that I want to just remind you, I told you a little earlier, we have this lightning round.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
And it's quick. That's my favorite part. You hear that music? I love it. So here we go. Dean, Jenn, what's your favorite social media platform?
Favorite social media platform? Instagram.
I'm with you 100%. Android or Apple?
Apple all the way.
I'm losing. It's every guess is Apple. I'm the only Droid guy here. This is crazy. What is your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant is Club Lucky, which is a wonderful Italian restaurant in Chicago that reminds me of my great grandma's cooking.
Okay. Now, what is your favorite movie?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. I thought you were going to say A Few Good Men.
No, not a lawyer movie. No, Forrest Gump has a lot of heart. It's got running in it, which is one of my passions, and it's about true love and soulmates, and that is and determination and grit and love. So I love that. I love that movie.
What was your favorite law school class? Do you remember?
Civil procedure in my 1L year.
Oh my goodness!
That's why I ended up being a pro professor.
Pro and running. I don't know. Like you picked the toughest things. I can't even imagine. Oh, that's great. And your favorite book?
My favorite book. Oh, well, recently my favorite book is Atomic Habits by James Clear, because it really is helpful to develop good habits for all sorts of things, work and your personal life. And so that's my favorite book right now.
All right. Well, thank you, Dean Jenn, for playing the lightning round. I love that.
Happy to do that.
It humanizes you because people see you as one of the longest serving deans in the country and such a scholar. And then to know that you're also on Instagram, you're one of us. So Dean, we have a lot of students that are in pre-law or in law school, and they tune into the CLEO Edge podcast. And one of the things that I hope that we can get from our time today is some of that advice, some of that, football halftime football coach speech to your team members here. What do you want to let them know about law school, about how to stick to the course, and if you could shed some light as to many of our students may be feeling under attack with some of the diversity talk going around the country. They're dealing with imposter syndrome, and someone as experienced as you with law students, I wish that you can just spend some time talking to them directly and letting them know about your position on these things, and some advice would mean a great deal to us here at CLEO.
Absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, don't lose heart. There are many of us out there that are still supporting you and want you to be in law school and are doing everything we can to ensure that there is a path for you. I would say always come in with, I'm good enough. You've got everything that you need, your character, your grit, your work ethic, all of that you will bring to the table. And so you are good enough. Begin with that. And you'll find the right fit, but you're good enough to go to law school. bring your full selves to law school, and in your law school application, that's more and more important. Who you are, your background, it's a benefit and a light that really is wonderful to share as you go in your journey. And I would say just be prepared in all ways. Be prepared for the LSAT. Be prepared by doing well in school. Be prepared by following your passion and having some purpose as you move through college. So those would be the kinds of things that I would say. And then ask questions. Ask questions along the way. Do not be shy, because your counterparts who are not feeling that imposter syndrome, they're walking into the professor's offices. They are asking the questions that are going to help get them the opportunities. So that's what I would say. Be prepared, be yourself, ask questions, and bring your whole self to law school. And I hope to see them there very, very soon.
Dean Jenn, we're so honored that you spent this morning with us.
My pleasure and honor.
It means a great deal to us here at CLEO. I know that you're very busy, and thank you so much for taking this time. We're, as I mentioned earlier, Dean, we're celebrating 55 years of diversifying the legal profession. We have over 30,000 alumni across the country. And, those alumni thank deans and law professors like yourself for motivating them to pursue their dreams and to be attorneys. So I want to thank you as a member here of CLEO for all you've done and for spending today with us.
Absolutely. We're all in this together. For now, Dean,
all of us, please make sure that you follow us at CLEOinc.org. Visit our website. We're at CLEO Scholars on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Dean Jenn, could you please share with us any of the handles that you would like to share on DePaul or yourself?
I think if you check DePaul Law on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn, and if you look for Dean Perea, or Dean Rosato Perea, you'll find me on all those handles as well. So I look forward to having some followers as well.
Muchas gracias, Dean. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you so much for joining us. What a wonderful conversation with Dean Jenn Rosato Perea from DePaul College of Law. We hope you enjoyed your time with us this morning. And, we got to just remind you that this 55-year anniversary, this Emerald anniversary, means a great deal to us. And we're hoping that you visit our website at CLEOinc.org and consider making a donation to CLEO. We depend on every dollar that we get so that we can continue helping our students pursue their dreams of becoming attorneys, and as we fight to diversify the legal profession. It takes about $3,000 to put a student through all of our programs, and we could only do it with your help and with law firms and law schools and donors like so many who have opened up their checkbooks and supported our causes here at CLEO. So, with a charitable donation, it's tax deductible. We encourage you to once again go to CLEOinc.org, make that donation, and help us celebrate our Emerald anniversary and to diversify the legal profession. Again, follow us at CLEO Scholars on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and visit our website at CLEOinc.org so you can see where our next events are. And maybe if you're one of these pre-law students or future lawyers that are interested in CLEO, consider being part of one of our many programs coming up across the months. Thank you so much for joining us for another CLEO Edge podcast. Have a great day.